This October in Detroit, Dr. Natalie Luke and comedian Merritt Khan are bringing you a full day built around one question. What are you still carrying? And whose story convinced you that you had to? It's called Rewrite Your Story, an interactive workshop by Day, Merritt's hit comedy show Optimistic Personality Disorder, live that night. You'll think, you'll laugh out loud, you'll live, you'll leave lighter. Early bird tickets are open now at UnCeilingZone.com. Unsealing, like the ceiling above your head.com/RWYS. Rewrite Your Story, Detroit this October. Welcome to Unsealing You. I'm Dr. Natalie Luke. Earlier this year, something started happening that I couldn't explain. I'd finish an interview, close my notebook, and think, I've heard that before. The guest was different, the career was different, the story was different, but underneath it all, the experience was the same. And after a while, I couldn't ignore it, and I started asking more questions. So, instead of 12 unrelated conversations, we're going to take one journey together. In the first week, we're going to ask, when does success become a trap? During week 2, we ask, why did this happen? In week 3, we ask, why do organizations keep creating traps for us? In week 4, we discover, how do we break this cycle? Every guest has a different story, but together, I think they're revealing the same hidden pattern that causes burnout. I'm so glad you're here. Today, we begin week 1, Danielle Griffin. Danielle helps us to recognize the earliest signs that something beneath the surface has started to change, and it's starting to burn us out. Let's begin. Dr. Danielle, thank you so much for being here. I was talking to a friend of mine, and we were talking about being burned out or being super tired at work. And she was telling me about how she's realizing that, in our mind, we constantly push, especially us high intense women that like to get stuff done. And we are pushing and we reset so that we can keep pushing. And even though in our head, we may feel like we've reset, all that pressure, all that stress gets pushed into our body, and our mind may forget that we're stressed out because we're really looking forward to getting the stuff done. But the pressure of it and the stress still stays in our body. And I was really looking forward to talking with you today because I felt like you were the person that we should be talking to about this, because you've said the problem was never in our calendar. It's always stored in our body. And I'm wondering if you could take me back to the moment when you actually felt that, not the theory of it, but the day your body made the argument for you.
Yeah. I remember it was a couple years ago over the summer. I'm a part of a few nonprofit organizations, and every time I turned around, somebody wanted to add something to my calendar, right? It was multiple meetings on top of meetings, back-to-back meetings all throughout the day between work, my business, the nonprofit, all the things that I had going on. I was also teaching at the time. I was literally triggered anytime somebody said, let's schedule a meeting. Can we put something on the calendar? Like, my body went into overdrive. Either I would emotionally react, like yell. Usually they wouldn't be able to hear me because, I'm looking at my computer screen, right? Reading an email or something, or receiving a meeting invite. Or, my body would just kind of go into fight or flight mode because I didn't want to attend another meeting. I couldn't be a part of another hour meeting, 30-minute, whatever the case may be. and still trying to get all the things done that I had to get done throughout the day because I'm a part of all these things. I also have all these responsibilities to go with them. Um, and eventually, like I couldn't do it anymore. I had to put everything down. I struggled telling people no, right? Because I've committed myself to these things, whether it's, a board seat and, you're obligated, right? In air quotes for a year or whatever the case to fulfill these roles or work obligations or whatever the case may be, things for my kids and family. And like, I have to start prioritizing. I'm leaving my toddler to himself because I'm attending all these nighttime meetings when I should be able to, you know, cook a meal, decompress, ask my kids about their day, all these other things. But literally from the time they get home or I had to pick them up, I was rushing back to my computer, getting on more meetings. And eventually, I had to ask myself, like, why am I reacting this way anytime somebody wants to add something to my calendar? And it was all the stress. Even if I felt like I was getting a good night's sleep, the few nights that I would get a good night's sleep, my body literally wasn't recovering from it. I was still had a higher resting heart rate. I was able to see that from, wearing my Fitbit at night. So some interesting metrics that I picked up from there. Like I'm still carrying that stress, even if I would have got a full night's sleep, 6 to 8 hours. It's like your body was literally fighting itself throughout the night. Not being able to decompress, not being able to lower that heart rate like I should, because I would get the stats to show what my normal resting heart rate is. And on those nights where I was working a lot and doing all the things, it wasn't coming down. So those were some of the signs and signals of like, I have to figure this out. This, between taking a step back and being able to do the work internally so that my body can actually rest and recover.
That's pretty powerful. Especially looking at your overnight resting heart rate and knowing you're not getting the rest. And so before that moment, you were the person that everybody in the organization depended on. What did being that person feel like day to day before you had the language for what it was costing you?
Yeah. Well, I would say at least before being a high achiever, right? Going into it, I thought it felt good, right? Like, oh, I'm a leader. I have all these responsibilities. People depended on me. I thought I liked that feeling. I thought that that's what I wanted. I kept adding more because I thought it was adding to, my resume or my skill set or positioning me for higher levels of leadership. So I thought I needed to do more. I thought I needed to continue to push and do all the things. But once I started to see that, in a lot of cases, doing all the things really wasn't getting me anything else but more work. People still continuing to come to me because they know I could do it, right? Because I'm willing to do it, because I'm a yes person, not a no person. Because I'm willing to, train others and show them how to do it. It's, it still comes back to me. And still, it took me that time to realize I need to prioritize myself and really understand what my values are professionally and, my home values are, and allow that to align. If I'm picking up all these extra things that aren't adding value to my life, then I don't need to do it. It's just extra.
I appreciate you saying all of this because I remember a time when I was thinking to myself, and like the words that you just used before, I felt valued. I felt like I was doing something. I was moving things forward. I was growing my career and taking it in the direction, and it felt good. And then I realized it wasn't, it was just giving me more work. I felt alone when I felt those very same feelings, and the thoughts and the words that you just used, the exact same words I used on myself. And it
Yeah.
feels to me so good to hear someone like you, Dr. Danielle, say the same exact thing.
Yeah, it is a lonely, isolating feeling. I was doing some journaling earlier this week, actually, about those same feelings. Like, how do I go to all of these events, whether it's networking events, social events, meetings, and still feel like I'm the only person in the room, or, still feel like I came out of it with just nothing, you're more work because I didn't truly get nurtured and poured into the way that I needed to. And that I've started to try to align myself in that way, align myself with people and organizations, that there's going to be more of that mutual relationship, right? Because we're we're all burned out. Like the data has shown that 50% of the US workforce is burnt out. And leaders in the organization are more burnt out than um, the people that work for them. So
I'm looking around my desk because I'm reading a book called The Burnout Epidemic,
yeah,
The Rise of Chronic Stress and How We Can Fix It, here. And
yeah, that's a
going
good one.
back to it's like you're not doing your job if you're not burned out.
Right.
We definitely want to change that.
Yeah. I mean, people have literally forgot what it feels like to not be in a stressed state, because for many of us, that is our lives from day to day, where there's not an extended period of time where we're not under stress. And chronic stress is, 3 months or more. And not saying, okay, I was stressed today and not tomorrow, and then stressed the next day. No, you're still stressed because that's not enough time for your body to recover. So if you're going multiple days and weeks and months in that stress state, it's chronic at that point. And if you felt that, whether it's because of family life or work life, both personal things, health things, we have to start to use the tools, the resources that we have to release some of that, because we're not all in the position where we can just go, take a week off, take a month off, go travel. We're caretaking for kids, for parents.
Mm-hmm.
Um, people have things to do. and, and
Yeah.
most of us are not independently wealthy, right? And so we have to be able to use the tools or resources that we have to eliminate some of the stress so that we can rest and recover, so that we can reduce our cortisol levels. That will help lower our blood pressure, other hormones, putting them in check, right? That's what happens at night. And if we're not in a state where we can actually rest and
Mm-hmm.
recover and reset, none of that is happening.
We'll be back after a quick break.
You know that feeling when you've been carrying something for so long, you can't even fathom putting this thing down? This October in Detroit, Dr. Natalie Luke and comedian Merritt Khan are bringing that feeling into one room and giving it somewhere to go. It's called Rewrite Your Story, a full day built around one idea. You can't put something down until you understand both why it landed on you and the story you've been telling yourself about why you have to keep holding it. The day starts with a live workshop, real tools, real laughter, the two of them working through it with you, not at you. Then that night, it all comes to life on stage when Merritt performs her one-woman show, Optimistic Personality Disorder. The show people have called a TED Talk and a tequila shot's love child. You'll learn something. You'll laugh, probably harder than you expected to. And you'll leave with a different relationship to everything you've been carrying. One ticket, a full day, a room full of people ready to put something down. Rewrite your story. This October in Detroit. Early bird tickets are open now. Get yours at UnCeiling Zone, like the ceiling above your head, UnCeiling zone.com/RWYS. I want to pause for just a moment. If you've been listening this week, you've probably noticed something. Different people, different careers, different lives. Yet they're describing remarkably similar experiences. That's what fascinated me enough to keep asking questions. Every conversation this season adds another clue. Now let's get back to the conversation. There you go. So we started talking about our body, and one of the things you said is you can't delegate what your body's still holding, because your body's holding it. You showed it. You talked about it at night. Your heart rate is up. Your body's holding it. Like you have done your job in like closing your eyes and breathing deep, but your body is still holding it. So can you unpack that for me? What's happening when someone knows intellectually that they should let it go, but they physically can't?
Yeah. I found that it starts with awareness. It's first being aware that I'm not getting the restful sleep. Sometimes it might come, one of the things that came up for me was the high blood pressure. Like I feel like I'm doing all the things, I'm eating healthy, exercising, drinking water, and I can't get my blood pressure under control. Most days, waking up still high, even though research says when I sleep, it should come down throughout the day. It might go up, but I should be at my baseline in the morning, and I wasn't. And I was struggling, wanting to try to get off of blood pressure medication. And so if we're finding things like that happening, that's some of the triggers, like, maybe I have restless leg syndrome. I'm constantly moving at night. I think I'm sleeping, but I'm tossing and turning. Maybe we have other stress signals like an eye twitch or muscle cramping. And we're not finding that relief when we wake up in the morning. We're still feeling that tension, that pressure. So if you're noticing some of those signals, sometimes it takes some time to push pause and start to be aware of how your body feels. What does normal feel like for me? And what are some of the things that are happening in my body that weren't happening before? When did this start? Starting to kind of jot some things down. And like I said, just being aware of, I noticed this eye twitch. When did that start? Can I associate that to some sort of event, whether it's work related? I have this new project and it started causing my eye twitch, or anytime this happens, it will twitch. And once we can become aware of those things, noticing when it starts, when it stops, if it ever starts and stops, which for most people it does, and there's a trigger. And so once we're aware of our triggers, we can start to do some work. I call it somatic exercises, mobility-based movements, breath work, meditation, to calm our central nervous system so that those things are not being stored in our body. And those exercises are usually targeting the areas that are impacted, where we're storing them. Sometimes people might feel upset stomach because of the stress. Um, we can do some breath work exercises, some, twist in our chair, just channeling that energy into the space that we're feeling it to help our body release it. If we just continue to hold it and say, okay, I'm going to ignore it, it's just going to go away on its own. It's not. We're just going to continue. It's going to get worse, and it could turn into something else that ends up being another chronic disease.
And we certainly don't want that. A whole lot of achievers hear your nervous system is dysregulated and they think something is wrong with them. How do you help someone hear that this information isn't about them or a diagnosis? How do you help them see that there's something in their control, but at the same time, there's not something wrong with them?
Yeah. Well, I would say, like I said, putting some of these practices in place and starting to become aware of your body is the first step, right? And becoming aware of your triggers. The triggers are going to be an external force that impacts how we feel, impacts our emotional and physical state. And usually it will start as emotional. Like you said before, we have that feeling and then we're carrying it, we're holding it. So maybe somebody made us angry, we tense up. Maybe my shoulders get real tight. I had TMJ, so maybe my jaw gets real tight. That's one of my signals as well. Start from my jaw. By the end of the day, if I'm not releasing it, my whole neck and shoulder is tight and hurting and tense. My go-to used to be, oh, I just need to go get some ibuprofen. I've been clenching my jaw too much. Like, well, why are you clenching? Even though you have TMJ, right? You don't necessarily have to have the symptoms all the time. There's something you're doing or experiencing that's causing you to clench. Clenching your jaw is not a natural state. It's not how your jaw wants to be, especially because, I'm not an expert in dentistry, but I know from talking to my dentist over the years about it, it impacts our bite, how we're biting, how our teeth are aligned. So that in itself tells me, okay, how I'm positioning my jaw, how I'm holding this tension is not natural. So what's causing me or making me do that?
Yeah.
And so starting to be aware of some of those things. When am I feeling the most tense? And when can I do some of this work to help relieve it? Maybe I know first thing in the morning, I need to start my day with it so I can kind of level set, make sure that my body is in kind of a calm state going into the day, right? And then once I feel that tension build up, I want to start, doing some jaw movement, opening and closing, some neck stretches, kind of relieving the tension throughout the day, not allowing myself to wait till I'm in excruciating pain and I feel like my only option is pain medication.
Yeah. I can definitely appreciate that. I even feel a lot more calmer around you. Now, you work with a lot of type A or high achieving professionals who are afraid that if they don't downregulate, or who are afraid that if they downregulate, they'll lose their edge. What exactly do you see happening in their performance when they actually stop running that pattern?
Yeah. To most people's surprise, they actually become more impactful in their work. And one of the main reasons is because when we're under so much stress and pain, that physical pain that we start to carry because of all the stress, we lose our ability to focus. Where our mind is cloudy. A lot of people want to run to drink coffee to give them energy and think that's going to give them focus. But over time, a lot of people stop feeling the effects of coffee. They're just drinking it back to back, hoping that it will work, and it's not. But when we can do some of this work on our own to give our mind the endorphin boost that it needs without caffeine or other external things, we can relieve the tension. We can relieve the pain that's clouding our mind. We can calm our nervous system from the thing that's stressing us out, right? It doesn't mean that we're never going to be stressed or that thing isn't going to cause our stress. But now we know how to manage the stress so that we're not carrying it all throughout the day, or it's not impacting us the way that it has previously. And so in starting to incorporate that, we start to realize, oh, by the end of the day, I'm not all tensed up. And I realized how much productivity I was losing because of all the pain and tension and stress and all these other things, carrying around a migraine that's preventing me from actually getting work done. That's another big one as well with clients that I work with that suffer from migraines. But when we can start to identify, well, what might be causing this? If it's not hormonal related, is it something else? Is it stress, tension, and can we manage that throughout the day so that we're not experiencing it?
So one of the things that you said earlier is that, it felt good to be valued or, be delivering the value, but then it was too much because you were getting extra work and it was hard to say no. I'm curious to know, as you were going through this and realizing, hey, somatically, I need to pay attention to what I'm feeling, my jaw, my neck, so that I don't have these migraines, so that I could sleep at night. Did you find yourself learning to say no easier through all of that process?
It took time. I think, I don't know if I was naturally a yes person or if that was a learned behavior. But it definitely took time because I, was used to being a part of everything, used to doing all the things. And like I said, I was tying that back to my value, what I thought was my value. If I'm not doing these things, I'm not valued. And so that mental work was needed. I felt I was starting to feel good. And so that helped move me in the right direction because my body was then sending the signals like, hey, you're feeling better. You're feeling good. You know that if you add more things back to your plate, more than what you can hold, you're going to put yourself back in that state. You know that you're still feeling triggered when somebody wants to add a meeting. So let's not add more meetings. Like, you're not ready to be back in that state, that environment. So let's not reintroduce it. Let's continue on this healthy path, this path of relief, feeling refreshed, feeling happy again, feeling like I'm having more interpersonal relationships and not just work relationships all the time. Let's continue to move in that direction. So it did take a little bit of a fight from, what I thought I wanted versus what my body wanted and was telling me that I needed, which also took some therapy.
Yeah, I could see that. And I could see the tension between it because, you're used to operating in one way. Your body's telling you need to operate in another. And the tension of moving from what was before to now,
Mm-hmm.
definitely had to have been there.
Yes. So it was challenging, especially because in some of the cases, like I said, with the nonprofit, I did just put things down, in the middle of my term as a chair. Like I have to stop and step away, and that was hard too. I just had to let it go and figure out what I needed to let go.
Yeah.
That's one of the things.
It's nice to know that you've lived it and that there's another side to it, and the other side is just fine.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not overnight, but I will say that most people that I work with, within 60 days, they'll start to feel the change. And, it takes that time. It's not going to be like, oh yeah, I felt it in a week. Like, yeah, you might feel good. You might feel after a 10-minute session of doing this, the immediate impacts. But after 60 days, you're truly able to look back and like, oh, I went from here to there in that period. I'm really sleeping better. I'm carrying less tension and feel less emotional and reactive.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really within that time period where most people, I think it's about 67%, start to really notice like, oh yeah, I have a pretty good, um, feel of this, and this is impacting me positively.
So for someone who's listening right now, who's mid-crisis, recognizing, oh yeah, I wear a Fitbit or a ring and my heart rate is high in the middle of the night. And I've had that problem as well in the past too. And they have back-to-back meetings. They also get triggered when someone says, oh, well, let's have a meeting or let's put something on the calendar. And there is no time to breathe. What is the one thing they can actually do in the next 2 minutes that starts to shift and starts that 60 days to recovery?
Yeah. I like to call it my 90-second pause. And so the somatic work, like I've said, is a combination of the breath work, the meditation, and the movement. And so you're doing each about 30 seconds each to make 90 seconds. So under 2 minutes. And so taking those first 30 seconds, and you don't even necessarily have to hit a timer. I'd like to use more of my body awareness to say, how much of this do I need? I'm going to continue to do this thing until I feel good, until my body's okay, you can move on to the next thing. So learning to take deep breaths, in through the nose, out through the mouth. You can close your eyes when you do it and just see how that feels. See how the tension just starts to melt. See the shift in your body when you simply just breathe, right? A lot of people don't even take the time to just pause and breathe, like really what that really feels like. Breathing is supposed to be the most natural thing, but a lot of us hold our breath, especially during stressful states. I know I'm a culprit of it. And so learning to just take that deep breath to release, otherwise we're holding on to it. And then, doing that several breaths, like I said, I like to just allow my body to say, okay, I feel good. I feel a shift. From there, noticing where did I feel the most shift and where didn't I feel it enough? And then also considering, as my body started to relax during that time, did I feel any pain or discomfort? Maybe there was an area that didn't really allow me to relieve this tension like other areas of my body. Sometimes that might be, like I said, the neck or jaw. Maybe it's the lower back. If you felt like, oh yeah, my shoulders really dropped, but that pain in my back wouldn't really allow me to release the way that I would have liked to. And so you can just do some simple exercises, twisting, stretching to the side and side, whatever feels good, allowing your body to say, this feels good to me. And doing that for a few movements. I like to call it breath to movement. So breathing in as you do one half of the movement and exhaling as you do the other. That breathes into that space that you're targeting. And exhale, on the exhale, it lets you release the tension from that space. And so when you're doing that breath to movement, that's where you really start to feel some of that impact. And then once you, again, feel good, and it doesn't have to be like, oh, I'm back to 100%, right? Like just really feeling a difference, like, oh yeah, that felt good, right? And then just sitting there with it for a moment, noticing the shift throughout your body, noticing how you feel, and then kind of setting your intentions, how you want to move forward, carrying that energy into your next meeting, that either sense of calm, where you can mentally energize yourself to, take the next step, whatever that may be, to tackle the next meeting, knowing what you're going to go into, like reflecting on whatever the next task is. And as well as, when am I going to do this again? I clearly needed this. My body felt it. It felt good. I know that this is what I need. So how am I going to start to incorporate it?
Thank you for that. So for the folks that are listening right now who just recognized their own body and everything that we talked about, what do you want them to not do, just know before we close out this? And also, how do they get a hold of you?
Yeah. The thing that they should know is that they're in full control of their body, right? They can breathe into the space. They can move. They can give themselves some mental encouragement, and all that can impact our overall mental and physical well-being. How we talk to ourselves, how we treat ourselves impacts our daily life. And they can find me at drdaniellegriff.com or on any social media platform, looking to work with leaders and organizational leaders to bring the somatic practice to the office space.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Danielle, for being on the UnCeiling You podcast.
Thanks for having me.
3 conversations, 3 very different stories. 1 question: when does success become a trap? Next week, we move beyond recognizing the pattern and begin asking why it happens. Please like, share, and download so you have this when you need it. I'll see you on the next UnCeiling You episode.